In my opinion, Division III football is the most pure form of football, college football that we have left. It's still designed to be, academic, and then you get your education through the game of football and developing young men. And then when we hit the ground running, I immediately wanted to approach the team culture aspect. It wasn't schematic. It wasn't, offense, what offense we're going to run, what defense we're going to run. It was the culture and the brotherhood that I wanted to attack first.
You are now listening to the District 2 Sports Podcast, available on Podbean, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. It costs you nothing to smash that like button. Leave us a review and follow District 2 Sports on Facebook, X, and Instagram for more content and coverage. Now, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Casting, it's Gregory here. We have another special episode for you. We are in Danville, Virginia, and joining us today is the new head coach of Averett University football, Coach Matt Quinn, a proven program builder with experience across the high school and college ranks. Coach Quinn takes over the Cougars with a clear goal in mind, and that's competing and winning in the ODAC. He's bringing energy, discipline, and a winning culture to Danville. Coach, we can't thank you enough for coming on today. I know I appreciate it. Maybe more importantly, the guy next to me can't thank you enough, as he's at Averett University football alumni. That's Big G. Coach, thank you so much for coming on today.
I'm doing great, man. Trying to get prepared for another spring ball practice this afternoon, but I'm blessed and honored to be able to sit down and talk with you guys for a few minutes.
Well, Coach, I know you got hired in December. Have you had time to get settled in at all, or has it been player retention, recruiting, spring ball? Has it been just on fire?
So it hasn't really slowed down at this point. Now, when spring practice ends, I might get a break and might be able to find the golf course around here.
I love that. I was looking at your Twitter, or your X, I guess it's X called nowadays. Your profile picture on there, and you had the phone on your side right there. I was like, man, this guy's already got the profile picture. He's already recruiting. I mean, these guys getting busy already. That's awesome.
Yeah, that was, my wife was taking some pictures the first time I actually got to walk onto the turf, and my kids were out there playing around, and as soon as I got out there, it just so happened I got a call from a recruit, and she's like, she thought it'd be a good picture, and it turned out to be a pretty cool pic, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think it works. I mean, let me ask, my first kind of question would be, what did you know about Danville / Averett before you even applied to this position, or do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I did. I had a former player of mine actually come here and play, Kamal Fairley, played here in 2016, 2017, 2018 years, played for me in high school. Still close with him to this day. We talk all the time. So, I'd seen some games. I brought him down and visited at one point. So that was in the prime years, I guess. I mean, they were 8-2 that year, and the crowd was awesome and the atmosphere was amazing. So that's what I did know about it. And then just from the high school side of things that I've always been a part of, the recruiting. Coach Adams, Cleve Adams, was the one that I met with the most as far as recruiting aspect of it. And then the ODAC conference. I knew a lot about the ODAC conference, just, with Randolph-Macon, Hampton, Sydney, Shenandoah, all these teams, and how good of a conference it was. So I was interested in the job for those reasons. And then the challenge behind it. I love a good challenge, and I'm not shy to take one head on.
Well, I know you had done a lot of high school coaching there in the Carolinas, North Carolina, and South Carolina. I know you with St. Andrews for, I guess, like 3 or 4 months before they shut down unexpectedly. So I apologize for that already. But how did this position with Averett kind of fit into your coaching arc?
Well, it's, the St. Andrews thing, it's a part of my story and a part of my journey now, and that's fine. I was there for 3 months, got hired in February, school closed in April. And it was so close to home for us. We didn't have to move. We didn't have to go anywhere. It was 10 minutes from my house. So I knew that challenge was even bigger than this one would be. But we took it on because it was so close to home, and met a lot of great guys there, and some kids that we recruited are actually going to end up playing here, which is going to be really fun to be a part of. But that's where I kind of got the itch and the desire to be like, man, I could do this at the college level. I fell in love with the recruiting aspect of it. I fell in love with the daily schedule, and how we do things, and being able to be football all the time. So when that door closed, I was interested in the next opportunity that would be there for me. the job opened up. I saw it posted. I reached out to Kamal actually and asked him about the school, in-depth stuff about the university, campus life, all that good stuff that you kind of need to know about. And he said, why are you asking me these questions, Coach? I was like, well, the job's open and I'm interested in headed down to Danville. And he was like, oh, okay. So he got excited about it. So it just was the right timing and the right fit for us. I think, in my opinion, Division III football is the most pure form of football, college football that we have left. It's still designed to be, academic, and then you get your education through the game of football and developing young men. And the NIL deals in the Division I world now are crazy, so it's really turned into professional football. So Division III football was always something that I followed because of that aspect, especially when we started getting these $1 million contracts and stuff. So it's the most pure form of football. It's people playing the game for the love of the game. It's people playing it to get their education, and it's designed for what college football was supposed to be. And that's what I love about it, and that's why I thought it was a good fit for us.
All right, Coach. Here comes the alumnus in me. So, when I found out that there was going to be a opening for the head football coach at Averett University, I kind of went down the line, and believe me, there might be a question involved in this, and there might not be, but at least you know where I'm going, and maybe where I'm reaching at right here is the boxes that could be checked. Okay, so here I made a list of what I thought, and I wrote this down a while back before you were hired. Had no clue who was in the pool, so I just want you to know that right now. So I just knew that me and Gregory and his brother Devin, who does the podcast as well, we talked, and I said, here's the boxes that I feel that need to be checked. And like I said, we can address this after I go down the line. I said he has to know Danville in and out. He's got to recognize, all the talent that is in the schools in Danville. Some kind of ties to the area. And then I made a note. My number 4 thing was must have a web of knowledge spun with high school coaches. And I don't think people realize that, listen to us or even think about this, how many high schools that are in our vicinity. And I wrote down 16, and that's GW, Tunstall, Dan River, Chatham, Gretna, Magna Vista, Bassett, Martinsville, Halifax County, Smith Mountain Lake now, Alta Vista, Liberty Bedford, Eden Moorhead, Reedsville, Bartlett Yancey, and Person County. And I'm sure I've missed somewhere down the line. I also made number 5 in my book was this. The new coach, and I know it's kind of sounds a little bit morbid in a way, but they have to stress the fact that the ODAC is one of the strongest conferences in the United States. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's football, basketball, whatever, baseball. I mean, you've got to be able to, tell these kids about Randolph-Macon, Hampton-Sydney, Washington Lee, Shenandoah, and now we got to be able to talk to them about Averett. And lastly, kind of find a way to keep those kids that I mentioned in those 16 areas in and around Danville, in the vicinity of Danville. I'm pleased as punch that you have been named this coach, and long-winded, finished, done, whatever with that segment. But, just kind of go down that line and let me know, or let us all know, how you kind of fit into those boxes.
Yeah, I definitely think those things are important for sure. And, you talked about Kirkland Brown. Like, one of my first days here, I went to Tunstall and met with him. Coach Bolin took me out to about 10 high schools in the area. That first week I was here, we visited Martinsville and Gretna and all those places, Reedsville, all those places that you talked about. So that was priority number 1 because I understood that part too. Ties to the area. We talked about Kamal and being here for some games and stuff like that. So I felt comfortable with that. We actually got a hotel, probably the weekend after I was named the head coach. Everybody was on Christmas break, but me and my wife came down and we just drove around town trying to get to know where things were, where campus was located, main campus, north campus, all that good stuff. So all of those things that you talk about are extremely important. And then most important that I think you hit on was the relationship with high school coaches. I think that is huge. I think that is important. If they are comfortable with you as a person and as a coach, they're more likely to entice and encourage their student athletes to come play for you. Not saying that we would ever force guys to go play wherever, but I had those relationships with different coaches across the country. And like, hey, if you're between these two schools, I know this coach. Well, I trust him. Go give that a shot instead. And so all those things are important. I think you hit the nail on the head with every one of them. Coach Brown, great guy, love him to death. He'll probably kill me for saying this. Love to get him on staff at some point, but we'll work on that one in the future.
The other thing is I guess some of the things that you get introduced to right off the get-go that I hear through the grapevine, I guess you want to say, is numbers are down, numbers of this. Well, I guess I expect numbers to go down, to decline as soon as a coach is let go or decides to leave or whatever, and you're looking for a new coach.
We're okay. We're not nowhere near as bad as everybody says or thinks. Right now, spring practice, we're sitting at 60. We're okay. Obviously, we need some depth. We need some more numbers, and we've got a lot of high school guys that are currently verbally committed. Some guys already signed and all that good stuff. We've got a couple of transfers that played for me, 2 transfers that had committed to St. Andrews to play for me. So there's all those connections, right? And the numbers aren't nowhere near as doom and gloom as what people think. Now, are we where we need to be? Absolutely not. But I'll tell you this. If we had to play a football game this Saturday with the guys that we have at spring practice right now, I would feel comfortable. Now, we got a long way to go with install and all that. But as far as numbers, I would feel comfortable. Now, we definitely want more than 60, but I'm good right now. And I think, the current roster is buying into the way we do things. They're lifting hard. They're working out hard. They're learning new systems and new schemes and new coaches and all that good stuff. So I'm happy with the way that they're buying in and changing the culture here for sure.
Now, Coach, and just kind of be the players that you have now, that's people that are active. Is that correct? I mean, because I understand – we and Gregory kind of discussed a certain name beforehand. I didn't know how much you'd be able to comment on it, but I can tell you this. I understand that Averett is going to be, or a certain person would be attending Averett University and playing football that I consider a burner. I saw the kid play in GW Stadium one particular Friday night. The score was 50-49. GW did win. But I saw this kid torch a defense for 3 touchdowns, and he blew past every DB in the stadium. And I believe if it wouldn't have been a gate at the end of the stadium, he could have run past me through the gate to get on the bus. This kid is good.
Well, let me just tell you, I watched some film from that particular game. Loved what I saw. It's one of the first stops that first week. He's a good player, man. And you just talked about it, right? You wanted to keep local talent here. Right, so I'm doing everything I can. Let's just say that to keep local talent right here at Campbell Stadium for sure.
Well, let me tell you this, and this is a kind of commending him. I witnessed a conversation due to the fact we were kind of working this game that night. I witnessed a conversation after he had, I think it was maybe a 47-yard touchdown pass he had caught. I witnessed a conversation whereas somebody just so happened to pick his brain and look at him and say, "Hey, you've caught your last touchdown pass tonight." And he said, "Oh, no, I got plenty more in the tank." And yes, sir, third quarter rolls out, 2 bombs right in a row. So the kid backs up his game. And like I said, I love him. I think it's a tremendous find. I've been talking about him since I saw him.
Yeah, really, really excited. We all know who we're talking about at this point, but man, you can look at his social media and his highlights and tell that he's a game changer. He's a difference maker. There's no doubt. And being from right up the road is really cool as well. So I'm excited to get him here and some other guys from that same school. There's another one joining him as well. So we're excited about that.
Well, I'll turn it over to Gregory in just a second. But my last thing was, and listen, when I say a couple things, I sometimes I just talk in pure ignorance or being naive because I guess I thought on a football team there was your starting QB, And then, of course, there's your backup, and then there's his backup, and maybe they play, maybe they don't play. In this time or this day and time, you've almost got to have those two backups ready at any point in time due to whatever, injury, NIL, movement, whatever. And the thing that I've seen on the D3 level, especially in the ODAC, not trying to pick on Averett whatsoever, but it has been most of the games that I've been to at Averett. I haven't seen where when they've lost that starting QB, where somebody could actually come in and fulfill that position. Are we in for a treat this year or the next 4 years where we're going to have that kind of conglomerate where we could see the person come in, not just pitch a ball or hand the ball off, he can pass, run, RPO, whatever you want to call it?
Yes, for sure. I coach the quarterbacks. I love QB development, and we coach starter to back up to third string, fourth string, coach them the same way, film the same way, input, execution the same way, and the expectation is always the same. So I was heavy on quarterbacks. We've got 2 quarterbacks in spring right now. Brandon Saunders started a few games last year at Averett, so he's got a little bit of experience under his belt. But the quarterback position was a position that obviously you got to have the trigger man to run the offense. So it was a position that I went after hard. We've got some really big time guys that are coming. We've got a D2 transfer quarterback that's going to be coming and fighting for the job. So we've got we're going to have a room of probably 5, 6, maybe 7 quarterbacks that can play. Guys that I recruited, a mixture of incoming freshmen and a mixture of 2 guys that are junior and sophomores. They'll be coming in as transfers. So I think the development is going to be there. And I think when you get position groups like that, the competition breeds elevation, right? So they're competing with each other for the starting role. So now they level up every day at practice, and that's the way we approach it. And then 2, I'm not afraid of packaging certain guys. I'm not afraid of saying, all right, well, this kid is a better runner option guy, so let's package him for this set of plays, and let's package this guy as our air raid quarterback and roll in personnel as fast as possible so that we have answers to different problems that teams are giving us.
Well, Coach, going back to December, you're named the, I think, 5th coach in Averett football history. What was your immediate reaction getting that phone call that you had got the position? And then much as you can share, what areas did you feel like you had to fix first or your top priorities coming to the position?
Yeah, so immediate reaction was just grateful. I thought last spring I had my opportunity to coach in college and to do this. And being a college football player, like, this was the ultimate dream. I went into coaching, taught high school, did all those things. And we turned around 3 high school programs, and 1 in North Carolina and 2 in South Carolina, and flipped them into winning programs and championship teams and all that good stuff. So I felt like I wanted the opportunity to do that at the next level, to prove that I could do that at the next level. So St. Andrew's closure happens, and I felt like I was so close to being able to prove that. So when you get that call, it's just grateful. Like, emotions hit me really quickly, like just being thankful that somebody believed in me to do this at the next level. And then when we hit the ground running, I immediately wanted to approach the team culture aspect. It wasn't schematic. It wasn't, offense, what offense we're going to run, what defense we're going to run. It was the culture and the brotherhood that I wanted to attack first, because when I got the job, I interviewed all the coaches that were on staff. I interviewed as many of the players as they were all on Christmas breaks, as many players as I could get phone numbers and get in contact. I talked to them on the phone, texted with them to ask them, what's your feedback? What do you think needs to change? What did you like? What can we improve on? All that stuff to kind of give them some ownership in the program too. But the most consistent answer that kept coming back from everybody that I talked to was culture. And we had a bunch of guys here. If you watch the film, like, they weren't bad players. They're 1-8, but they weren't bad players. They just weren't playing together. They weren't a cohesive unit. And so that was the first plan of attack for us. So January and February, we didn't do anything schematic. No X's and O's, no football meetings. Like, we met and talked about leadership right? We talked about brotherhood. We talked about the culture and the standards that we're going to establish here, and how we're going to, and we did, talks, videos, clips, quotes, studying different coaches and different books and all these things, right? We did that because that was the first plan of attack for us. And then in March, when March hit, we came back from spring break, we got into some football. And I think those first 2 months really was the biggest change that I've seen in any turnaround that I've had to be a part of. Was the biggest change in those first 2 months was right here at Averett, because we had guys that great kids, great players, they just weren't led the right way, or whatever you want to call it. They didn't believe in this or that or whatever, but we got them to believe in that and got them to buy into that. And our guys, man, we got 60, not a full roster by no means, but those 60 are going to be the change. And we talk about that every day before we start practice, before we start workouts. Like, you guys are going to be the ones that everybody in Danville is talking about, change the program and change the culture here. Yes, we're going to bring in transfers and freshmen, but you guys are the core. You guys started this, and you're going to leave a legacy behind that people are going to talk about for a long time. And so that was the first order of business, man. And that's what I'm passionate about anyway. I'm passionate about the relationship aspect and development of the human, not just the player. Like, yes, we want to develop you as a player, but we want to develop you as a human. We want to make you a great student. We want to help you become a great husband. We want to help you become a great father one day. So, like, when you do those things and you focus on development instead of focus on winning, the development happens and the winning is a byproduct of it. Like, too many people and too many coaches, in my opinion, get in and they start hitting the ground running. They say, all right, here's our scheme. This is our offense. This is our defense. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to play, instead of worrying about the relationship side of it and the development side of it. And they get too focused on the winning. I think if you focus on building great young men and building them, developing them on the field and off the field, the winning is a byproduct of it. And I've said that numerous times at different clinics with different coaches when they ask me, Coach, how did you turn around this program? How did you do this? What offense were you running? Y'all asking the wrong questions. It's about the relationships and the development, and then the wins happen and occur because of it.
And Coach, just being at a few games last year and previous year, you kind of look at the grand scheme of things, and you hit the nail on the head. Those kids can play. Yeah, there's no doubt that they can play. And that kind of the trend that I saw, or that was evident, I guess you want to say, to all, was that, hey, after the first quarter, it might be 7-all, but it was like all of a sudden, here comes the tidal wave, and next thing you know, it was 49-7, and you could just see it slowly wilting away. And I think in itself, that's a culture that you have to adopt to, it's going to happen. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. You're going to have that team that comes in and just melts you down and does that to you. No doubt about it. Sometimes they're just much better than you. That happens. But the mentality part of it is huge. I mean, you still got whatever that scoreboard says at halftime, you still got, 30 more minutes to play after halftime. So that's where we kind of saw the team just get away. But if you've got a product that is worth seeing, these people will fill the stands, and I mean it. They will fill the stands. And you mentioned Cleve earlier. I had no idea that you had a relationship with Cleve, but you have to go back to 19 before you see that there was a winning record at Averett College. And I guarantee you those stands were full the year before 18, 8-2, 6-4. I mean, just go back to those years. That's the last time there was a winning record and a winning culture at that school. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's on this person, it's on this person. That's not what I'm here for. I just want to get back to it. That's all it is to it. And I'm sure that once you do, or you start seeing that, those stands, that is one heck of a facility, by the way. And you already know that for a D3 level school, or anything for that matter. But those people will fill those stands. They will.
Yeah, those 18, 19, 17, 18, 19 years that you're talking about, that's the years that I was familiar with, right? That's when I was here watching my guy play. And that's what I was intrigued by, was I knew the potential was there. If you're going into a program that's never won, it's a little bit shaky. Like St. Andrews had one win in their history of their school, right? So they've only played football for 5 years at that point. But I knew it was a little bit tougher. But I knew the potential was here. I just had to get to the bottom of where the issues lied and what was going on. And it was the division within the team. that was, it was offense versus defense or receivers versus DBs instead of the Cougars versus everybody. Like they weren't playing together. And so that's why the job intrigued me, because of, like you talked about, 17, 18, 19. I came to a game, man, and we had to park like at the front of the Grant Center and come all the way around, and their tailgates set up, and like it was an amazing atmosphere to see. And then when you talk about facilities, man, it is unreal what we have. We've had 4 guys come in and visit from D2 programs, and they are mind blown. They're coming from a higher level, whatever you want to call it, and they're mind blown. Like, Coach, this is way better than what we had. This is the facility, the stadium. This is awesome. Like, and they love it. We are blessed here. Like, we really are. And like, I think sometimes when you get here, and they'll say you're here for 3-4 years, you kind of get used to it, and it kind of the shine kind of wears off because you're around it every day. But we encourage our guys to not, take for granted what you got. Like, we got some great stuff, and like, you want to see the bottom, like go to Laurinburg, North Carolina, and go see where we were playing at St. Andrews University. Like, it would have not been nowhere near it. Like those high school stands, yeah, it'd have been different. But man, it's something that these kids are slowly learning, and it's something that we talk about. You talked about getting down by 7 and then just kind of giving up. Like, we saw that on film. Like, you see, you're down by 14 at halftime. Like, there's a chance there. Like, that's nothing. Like, why are we quitting? Why are we hanging our heads? And so we talk about that. I study a lot of Coach Kurt Cignetti, Indiana, like, because I feel like, in my opinion, if you can go do what he did at Indiana, it can be done anywhere. Like, you can win anywhere. If you can win at Indiana, you can win anywhere. Lose the most losses in college football at any level, any program, right? And so he tells his guys that each play has a life and a legacy of its own. So once the play's over, we move on to the next one. They don't focus on the scoreboard. They ain't worried about what happened the last play. There's no hanging your head or celebrating what happened the last play, because the next play is coming. So we got to focus on the next play. And we talk about that all the time. Through spring practice, we've discussed it on a daily basis. We've talked about pushing forward. You can't change the past. You can't jump in a magic time machine and go back. You can learn from it and move forward. There's nothing else you can do about it. So we talk about those things, man. And so that when we do get in those situations where we're down 10 and it's the third quarter, like, we're not going to quit and say, here we go again. This is what happened last year. No, we're going to fight through that and play the next play, the next play, the next play. So that's our mentality and our goals here.
Coach, going on the offensive side of the ball, you're offensive guy. You played wide receiver. You've been, I think, coached tight ends for a year or something like that, maybe 2, and you've been an offensive coordinator in high school and stuff like that too. I saw your role. You're going to be head coach and offensive coordinator. Are you going to be calling plays? And then also, how long does it take to actually get your offensive scheme kind of settled in? Is it? Can you do it in the off season, or does it take a year or 2? And what have you seen so far in spring ball from the kids willing to learn?
Yeah. So I am calling the plays. I am coaching the quarterbacks. I think that, in the future, if we develop some of our coaches over time, like, there might be a point in time where I hand off that duty, but it won't be any time in the near future. That's the fun part, guys. Like, calling the plays is the fun. Like, all this other paperwork and all this stuff that you go through as a head coach and these meetings and like, that stuff is not always the best times, right? But calling the plays and game planning, man, that's where I have the most fun. So I'm calling the plays, and from an offensive standpoint, we go by the mentality that less is more. We want to get good at what we're good at, and then we can build off of that. So we have our 4 base runs, we have our 6 base passes, and that's the first thing we install. We've done that for 2 weeks, 10 plays, 2 weeks, and they picked it up. Now you can start tagging this route or changing this back's alignment or whatever. You just build off of it and continue to build. And our guys have really picked up on it. We want to be simple, no huddle, up tempo, as fast as we can play. So we simplify those things so that we can line up fast. We want a tempo. We want to tempo people. And that's why we use those one-word calls. Like, we're one-word call. And then if I want to change the X receiver to a post, it's like Mustang post. And we're good. Like, it's not a whole 150 plays, because I think that at the end of the day, you get in that crunch time, third quarter, you got to have a big first down. Coaches are going to fall back on their bread and butter and what they do. So why waste our time trying to do 100 things when in those crunch time moments, I'm going to call these base 4 runs anyway. So let's get really good at those 4, and then we can build off of it from there. So I think by game 1, North Carolina Wesleyan, we will have the offense in. We got spring ball. We'll have some summer meetings. And then, we got those 3 weeks, whatever it is, right before the first game. But I think we'll be good to go. And I think we'll be up tempo, no huddle. It's fun to watch. My high school coach was also calling the plays. He won 4 state championships as a coach. He ended up being my head coach in college as well. So that was a unique experience for me. But he was the same way, man. He wanted to up-tempo people and throw the ball. He wanted to throw the ball like 90% of the game. I'm a little bit dialed back than that. I want to throw the ball. Don't get me wrong. But it's not going to be that much, maybe 70% of the game. But it's something that we're passionate about.
Did you have a problem with that back in high school, throwing the ball 90% of the time?
No, as a receiver, you never have a problem.
I would say.
There was a game, guys, we had a game in high school where Coach Bentley came in. He's like, our goal is to not have a single rushing attempt tonight. Well, we win the game like 60-0, and he gets the stat sheet at the end of the game, and he's mad. I'm like, everybody's, what is going on? He looked at the stat sheet. We had 1 rush for -1 yards. It was when we took a knee at the end of the game. So he was, I guess he just slipped his mind like that's going to be a rushing attempt and a -1 rushing yard. So that was funny, man. But I don't foresee any games where we do anything like that crazy. But we want to throw the ball, man, and we want to get it out. And we want to spin it and make the defense cover. We got 5 skill guys on the field at all times, 4 receivers and a running back, and any of those 5 can touch the ball. We want them to have to cover sideline to sideline, 53 1/3 yards, and spread the ball around. So that's kind of a little bit of the offensive philosophy and how we want to do things. But I think we'll be ready to go by September 5th for sure.
Big G, that's called speed and space.
Okay, thanks. Hey, but I was just getting ready to warn him since you wanted to speak up. All he's trying to do, Coach, is just look out for you. He don't want you to wind up like his boy Billy did this year, okay? Where he had to move from southern Florida up to Virginia now. So that's all he's trying to do is make sure nothing like that happens to you, okay? But, I did hear something that I wanted to mention. Please, from my just if you have to do it first game and say, well, we only going to do it for this game, will you find a 6'4" to 6'6" tight end that you can put out there at the tight end to block and also put into space so we could kind of throw to him and depend on him to take it away from everybody? Can we do that this year?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, tight ends are part of my offense now. I know I said 4 receivers, but we use a flex tight end. So he's flexed out in the slot, and then he can motion in and be in the backfield as kind of an H-back type. So that's, something we're looking for. We have one on the roster right now with Calvin Speed, which is picking it up and doing a great job in spring. We want to add some depth with him and have some competition to push him as well. But he's picking it up and doing a great job with being able to flex out and come down into the box and get involved in the run game too. So we are probably 50-50 of tight end, no tight end sets.
Well, I just noticed that like I don't know, this is way before y'all weren't even born in, but there was a guy named Keith Sims and Farrell Edmonds who played at GW Danville and played at Maryland and for the Dolphins. Sims was either him or Farrell were either Team 1 or Team 2 All-Americans during the 80s. So, but those days were few and far between where you had that tight end that could actually come off the line and catch the ball. So that's what I kind of was getting in. It's not like today's game. I mean, sometimes the tight end's smaller than a wide receiver. I mean, or at least might be as fast as a wide receiver. So I miss that kind. It just seems like some of the offensive schematics in the past, won't name names, have been kind of the dinosaur prehistoric day kind of thing where that tight end is lined up, on the line and is primarily a blocker. And I just think you lose him when you do that. You just lose that ability, I guess you want to say.
Yeah, so that was actually my position. I played Y, which was the flex tight end. Now, over my career, because of the way we threw the ball, I put my hand on the ground maybe 3 times, in 7 years of playing for Coach Bentley. Now, when I did, those were touchdowns, to be honest with you. Like, I ran the routes from being down. But I have a love in my heart for that Y position. So we're going to have some big bodies there. And speed, I mentioned him. He's like 6'5", 6'6" right now. So And we've got some other big guys that we're recruiting to bring in and push him as well.
Coach, one of the things I've read about when you got hired from Danny Miller is that you were able to build relationships, or as far as recruiting goes, pretty quickly. I mean, you signed, I think, over 60 kids there at St. Andrews before they closed down. What is your message to these recruits out here in the counties, cities, looking to go to Averett?
Yeah, it's authentic. It's real. We don't come in and lie to you. We don't tell you something that you want to hear just because we want to get you here. Like, we're real with you, and we keep it real. And even with our current players, they know that by now. We're not going to come in there and promise you, hey, you're going to start if you come here. You're going to do this. Like, no, you're going to get the opportunity. You're going to be developed. You're going to be pushed. And that's the biggest thing is like, and then when you talk about developing relationships, social media is a huge part of it. We talked a little bit about social media and our impact there and what we've done with the graphics and the posts and the videos and all that stuff that kids love to see that. And that speaks to them because these kids, they're doing that all day. They're sitting there scrolling social media all day. So that's another way to connect with them on their level. So we can't be archaic and get into the mindset of, we're going to stay away from social media because I'm not a social media guy. Like, if I didn't have my position, I probably wouldn't be on social media. If I just worked somewhere in a factory, so I wouldn't be on social media because I don't care enough for that. But when we're talking about developing relationships and connecting with kids, they connect with people through social media. So we use that. So that's important to us. And then just being honest and open and upfront with them and explaining to them how they fit in. And then we will critique recruits and tell them, hey, we want you to be here, but this is what I think you need to work on. You need to work on these steps or work on this or whatever, so that we're open and honest with them so they know what they need to do to continue pursuing this passion and getting better daily.
With the coaching change, obviously you got the transfer portal and stuff like that, the culture nowadays where, kids can leave after 1 year or however it goes. How are you handling those conversations with players that maybe are there now, and handling the conflict with players you may want to bring in there as well?
So when we're looking at players that are in the transfer portal, I'd say right now we had 6 guys transfer in January that are already practicing with us and working out with us. And all of those but one I had a prior relationship with. I either coached them in high school or I'd recruited them at St. Andrews and they had to go somewhere else or whatever. So that's the way I approached that for the first round. Now we're going into the spring recruiting cycle and all that, and we'll have some more people getting in the transfer portal after spring practice from other schools and all that good stuff. But when we look at that, we're looking for best fit, and not only best fit on the field, but best fit with our culture and our standards and our program. We want guys that are taking care of the things in the classroom, on campus, all that stuff too, because that's important. If you're not eligible, you're not going to help us win football games anyway. And then on the flip side, when you talk about guys that may be discussing leaving, right? Again, it just comes down to having that relationship with them and being open and honest with them. When you go into the transfer portal, you're either doing two things. You're doing one of two things. You're either running from a problem or you're elevating yourself. Now, you tell me you want to go into the portal, which one of those is it? And let's talk about it. Are you running from a problem just because you didn't get to start or you didn't get the playing time that you thought? Or did you ball out? Were you an All-American and now, somebody's going to give you some money to come play? And in those situations, like if we're open and honest with it, I'm good with it, because in those, I can't sit here and tell a kid not to go get paid to play football. Like, ultimately, like, that's better in their lives. So we approach it like that and ask them, hey, you want to go in the portal? Are you running from something? Are you elevating yourself? Let's talk about it.
Coach, I wanted to ask you, kind of twofold, kind of funny, kind of a little serious too. How has the backing been from Averett College? And I'll specifically name Danny Miller and then the admin. And then second of all, how many phone calls have you gotten from Pedro and from Vince up at Hampton Sydney and Randolph Macon? They welcome you to the fold. Has anybody welcomed you to the fold from the ODAC?
Yeah. So first off, the university has been very receptive. The administration has welcomed me with open arms. We're getting some great support from the admissions side, from financial aid office, all that stuff, the process and the steps that a student has to take to get enrolled in school. And they're doing a great job of helping us with the process. So that's been refreshing to have that. And then from the conference, I mean, we've had welcome calls and emails and texts from everybody in the conference. I think they're maybe welcoming me to say, oh, we're coming to beat you. I don't know. But either way, they have been reaching out and just saying, welcome if you need anything. Like, that's one of the weirdest questions, guys. Like, you reach out to one of your opponents, hey, if you need anything, give me a call. I've been guilty of saying it too, right? I've been guilty of saying that to other coaches, but like, what would you need? Like, what would you need from me? And what do you think I'm really going to give you? Like, it's been one of the weirdest things, but everybody's been great in this transition, man. And Danny Miller's been awesome. I think the coolest thing about Danny is he's there to support us and he's there for us, but he also stays out of the way and lets us do our job. So he's not a micromanaging type of leader, which I enjoy that. I love the game of football, and I think I know what I'm doing. So he allows me to do that. And then he helps me with some guidance and stuff on the school side and the paperwork side and all that. But it's been awesome to be a part of.
But the other thing I was going to mention, that is the coolest hat. The District 2 Sports Podcast, especially Big G's, coming to get 3 of those hats. And we're going to wear them on our podcast. And we're going to be there September 5th for that first game. What was that? NC Wesleyan. We're going to be on the sideline for that one. And I think they'll look good that day on us.
Yeah, I think you guys will look really good in them.
It's supposed to be an unbiased podcast. I think we're
my bad. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? My bad.
Coach, I wanted to talk about I know it's very early. I know you're just in spring ball, but just look at the schedule as a whole. And on this podcast, we've talked about it several times. We call the ODAC the SEC of D3. Might be some bias there because we love that SEC and we're from Danville. But I mean, just look at the schedule. You have North Carolina Wesleyan out of conference or out of conference, Southern Virginia, and then start off with Gallaudet there in the ODAC. And then I don't know what it is about every team we talk to, but it seems like that October month is just deadly for everybody. It seems like. I mean, you got Washington Lee, Shenandoah, Randolph-Macon, Roanoke. Get your early thoughts on the schedule as a whole.
Well, I'll give you the coach's answer.
Coach, I'm gonna stop you just a second. And Gregory mentioned the gauntlet, and I left out one. I forgot Roanoke earlier. So you go. I know this is what you wanted to hear from us today, by the way. So Gregory just hit the nail on the head. October 3rd, Washington Lee. October 10th, Shenandoah. October 17th, Randolph-Macon. October, whatever it is, 24th against Roanoke. And then you finish it off October 31st against Hampton City. How do you go through that grind? That's just 5 games in 5 weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun stretch of the schedule, no doubt about it. I mean, Coach's answer would tell you we're going to just focus on being 1-0 each week, right? We're focused on North Carolina Wesleyan. And that is true. Like, that's what we preach and that's what we tell our kids. But when you talk about the conference schedule, man, it's a gauntlet. It's wild. I mean, there's some really good teams in the conference. There's some really good coaches in the conference that, we've been looking at film already. I'm not even going to lie to you. We've been studying film from all of our conference opponents, especially Washington and Lee with some of that funky offensive stuff they do. So we're looking at that, but the ultimate goal and the focus is to be 1-0 after September 5th. Now, Gallaudet they actually dropped out of the ODAC. I don't know if you guys are aware of that or not, but we kept them on as a non-conference opponent. They're coming here. I've heard different stories about going to play there and how weird it is. I think that's going to be a wild place to play, but excited about the schedule, man. It's a grind. And to me, when you talk about being in the playoffs and all these teams like, oh, they got a tough schedule and all this stuff, right? Well, I'm a WWE fan. I don't know if you guys ever watched any wrestling, right? To be the man, you got to beat the man, Ric Flair, right? So if you want to be great, you've got to play some of those teams and you've got to find a way and you've got to measure yourself up against those teams. So that was another thing that appealed to me about this conference is like matching up our coaching abilities against the best. Like you said, I mean, top 25 teams every year in the ODAC conference.
Oh, Coach, I want to, just look at the schedule, look at the team as a whole. What are some realistic expectation and goals for year one that you can set for the team? And have you been able to establish those non-negotiables, kind of create that identity you want to put on there? And have they responded yet?
Yeah. So when we talk about goals, we've hit on it a little bit through our conversations today already. But when we talk about goals, we talk about getting better every day. We don't come in and put, our goal is to win X amount of games on the board. We don't come in and put, our goal is to win a championship. Our goal is to uphold the standards of the Ville, and that's vision, integrity, leadership, legacy, and effort. And so if we do those things, again, I said it before, winning is a byproduct of that. We try to get better every day, play the next play, be 1-0 each week. And I think that you guys and the Danville community and the Cougar faithful will see a drastic improvement in the competitive nature of our team, and definitely in the brotherhood and the culture of our team. And that's, the main goal is to put a product on the field that our community, that our fans, that our families can be proud of, win, lose, draw. And I think we can definitely achieve that goal.
Well, Coach, we've been watching Averett football for years. Like I said, we're not biased anyway. We're unbiased podcast, obviously, but we've been watching Averett football for years. So we hope you can get that. I can't let you go though without talking about your previous history before you even got into coaching. So, I mean, we talked about it kind of before we got online. If you don't know, Coach Quinn played for a high school team in South Carolina, Burns High School, 4 straight state championships, I guess, when you were there. 43-1, I believe, overall. Had Willie Korn. I think Marcus Lattimore came through there maybe years after you. Just playing that type of program and all that winning and playing for Coach Bentley, how did that experience influence you to be a coach today, and how's that influenced your coaching style as well?
Oh man, it was an incredible experience, man. And to be honest with you, we were spoiled, man. We didn't even realize we planned our schedules every year to play till December 5th, and that was just the expectation, right? We didn't realize that if you lose a playoff game, you're eliminated, because that was never even a thought in our mind. In 4 years of high school football, 4 state championships, 58-2 record over 4 years. We lost to a team out of Louisiana when I was a freshman. And then my junior year, we lost to Gaffney, South Carolina, Gaffney High School, another historic program there, but they still won the championship. They won the championship in their division. So being around those guys and the players that we were around, Willie Korn was my quarterback. He played at Clemson. Prince Miller played DB. He played at Georgia and then played for the Ravens and in the NFL for a little bit. We had 22 guys my senior year signed D2 or better football scholarships. And so being around that just made us better, man. It was iron sharpens iron every day at practice. Like the Michael Jordan mentality of we're going to make practice harder than any game would ever be. And we did, man. Practice was a grind for us. And then when we got to Friday nights, we're like, this is nothing compared to what we've been through for 4 days already this week. Played for some great coaches through that spell. Off of that staff, obviously Coach Bobby Bentley, and then he went on to coach in the SEC. Has went to Tennessee now and won another state championship in the state of Tennessee. Like, he's got so many rings. He's got more rings than fingers. And then on that staff, we also had 5 assistant coaches that are now went on to be head coaches and won state championships as head coaches. Brian Lane being one of them. Like, Brian Lane was my receivers coach and somebody that I was in his middle school history class when I decided that coaching was what I wanted to do. I didn't know if it was going to be baseball or football because I was a huge baseball guy, but because of the relationships that he developed and the way he taught us and the way he treated us and the way he worked with us in the classroom, on the field, like all that stuff. In 7th grade, I was like, man, I'm going to coach. I'm going to coach something. And I thought it might be baseball, but those guys, man, that molded who I am. Duncan, South Carolina, Burns High School, if you couldn't tell by the accent, small town. The only thing you probably see out there is a BMW plant, and then the high school, and it's blue and silver everywhere. But that place built me and molded me into the player, the man that I am. And then being able to go to PC and play for Coach Bentley again gave me an extra 3 years with him. So, I can't be more proud of my hometown. I love it. I love it there. I love the town of Duncan and Spartanburg and all that. But that made me who I am, and it really did.
Coach, I know we've been holding you hostage for 50 minutes, but you played some D1 football as well. Just what's favorite stadium you've ever played in or been to?
Michigan, the Big
Really?
House. Yeah. So, my freshman year, I played at Vanderbilt University. I was on special teams and I was a long snapper and a tight end, flex tight end. And so I went to Vanderbilt as a long snapper. And part of the reason I chose Vanderbilt was because I wanted to be in the SEC. I was a Gamecock fan my whole life, and the Gamecocks didn't offer me, so I wanted to go play against them. And then when Coach Bentley got the PC job going into my sophomore year, I transferred back. But opening game of college football that year was Vanderbilt at Michigan. I was just turned 18 years old. I mean, like 2 or 3 weeks past being 18 years old. And now my first college football play is in front of 110,000 people. We're backed up on the 5-yard line. The punter is standing in the back of the end zone, and I got to snap it to him. And so the atmosphere is really cool, but I think the moment made the stadium a lot cooler than what people think it is.
Coach, I just wanted to save the best news for last today, okay? I think Gregory's got one more little thing to go with you, but I wanted to, I graduated from Averett in 1989, undergraduate degree. Nothing as far as varsity sports were near us except for basketball. I think tennis and golf was a bar. So I just wanted to announce today that I'll be continuing my graduate work at Averett, and I'll be joining the football team next week. And I'd probably give you a goal line stand or something, but I'll be there. So I'm number 61 now, okay?
All right, I got to go let our coaches know that we've got a new commit.
There you go. Just send me the package.
That's awesome. That would be some great content. We can do that. That'd be awesome. Now, Coach, I mean, you've been great. We want to get to know you, what you're going to do for the program. So I did offer the position to Todd Grantham before you, but I think you're just as great. I think you're doing a good job there at Averett, so we wish you the best of luck.
I appreciate that, man. It's been fun sharing stories and getting to know you guys, man. And I think it's important, and I appreciate y'all having me on because I think it's important to put not me. It's not about me. It's about Averett football. I'm putting some good stuff out about Averett football because we've been through some tough times. And we have. As a university and as a pro football program, we've been through some tough times. Now we're going to fight through it, and we're going to battle out of that. I can promise you that. And I think that football drives universities. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but when you look at athletic departments in positive universities, when the football team is having some success, then it's crazy. Like basketball has success and baseball has success and the university starts growing and people want to go to school there and all those things. So there's a lot of weight on our shoulders to help the entire university. And it's not just about football. It's about growing Averett as a whole. So I appreciate y'all giving us the platform to share some about who we are, what we do. I want people to know who I am and be able to yell at me when I make the wrong calls. I understand. That's good. I love the passion. I love when people are like that because that means they care about us, right? They care about what we're doing. If they're not mad about it, they're like, here we go again. So I want them to be mad at me. I want them to hold me to a higher standard. I love that. So, again, guys, thank y'all for having me. It's been fun.
Hey, I'm just thankful you mentioned that last statement because he'll sit there and say, "Don't let him hear you say that out loud, Dad. He'll hear you. He won't talk to you no more." So anyway, no, just kidding. I never second guess any calls. You know that. Come on.
Yeah.
No, Coach. Hey, it's a pleasure. I mean, an absolute pleasure to get to know you, and we look forward to to continuing that relationship. I think our program's in great hands, and I will say because I being at Averett. You never lose that. You never lose that at all. So I look forward to being there and attending some games and getting to know the players as well. So thank you so much. And, hey, I'll go ahead and give a good shout-out to Danny Miller on the positive side. Thank you, Danny Miller. Great hire.
That's awesome. Thanks.
I appreciate it, guys, man. Anytime y'all need anything, quotes or anything like that, man, please reach out. I'm available for y'all to – again, we just want to promote the positive things that are going on. There's so much negative in the world that we want to promote the positives that are going on within our program, within our school.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thank y'all. Go Cougars.